Good afternoon. I'm Priscilla Engel, Vice President of Customer Relations and Sales for VIA Metropolitan Transit. Buenos tardes y bienvenidos. Soy Priscilla Engel, la Vicepresidente de Servicio a Cliente y Ventas de VIA Metropolitan Transit. Para todos quienes prefieren participar en español, oprima estrella 0 ahora para escuchar en español. Thank you for joining us and joining our virtual VIAtrans workshop. We're excited to have a conversation with you over the next hour on this platform, which allows us to speak with you directly and take your questions and comments live on this call. We'll be discussing our new Go Mobile app and our taxi subsidy service through Z-Trip within the VIAtrans department. Throughout this workshop, we'll be bringing callers live, answering questions submitted through the streaming player interface, and asking you for your opinion on a few survey questions. As I mentioned, this is an interactive forum and we want to hear from you. We will be taking as many questions from participants as we possibly can on this live event. Recuerden que pueden oprimir estrella 0 ahora para escuchar en español. If you have any questions, please press star 3 on your phone keypad at any time and you will be placed in line to speak with a member of our staff. After that, the next time you hear your name, you will be live on the call and you will be able to ask any question you'd like directly. If you are streaming the event on our website, you can simply type your name and question below the streaming player. This VIAtrans workshop is also being streamed live on our website at viainfo.net/workshop and on Facebook Live. I'm honored to be with you today as your moderator to host this conversation with our outstanding panel. With us today, we are pleased to welcome VIA's Vice President of Technology and Innovation, Mr. Steve Young, and Sylvia Castillo, Manager of Paratransit Operations. Thank you both for being with us this evening. VIA trustee Bob Como, who serves as chair of the Accessible Transit Advisory Committee, wanted to be with us this evening, but unfortunately had a scheduling conflict. He recorded a message for our participants this evening. Let's go ahead and play the video now.
Good evening, VIA riders. I'm glad you're with us here this evening to learn more about VIAtrans services and to share your ideas on VIAtrans. I am the oldest member of the VIA board, and I wish I could be with you live and not on tape, but I'm en route to surprise my slightly older big sister on her 75th birthday. As a member of the VIA Board of Trustees, I serve as chair of the Accessible Transit Advisory Committee, or ATAC. I am one of 2 VIA board members who utilize VIAtrans. Did you know that VIAtrans has a new fleet of larger, more comfortable vans? The design modifications were made by our VIA staff in response to riders' suggestions and concerns. And that's why these town halls and our ATAC meetings are so valuable for two-way communication. ATAC is a body of community representatives working alongside a committee of VIA trustees to assist VIA in enhancing the accessibility of VIA services, programs, and facilities. Our goal is to put more opportunities within reach for people with disabilities. We believe providing access to mobility through safe, reliable, and affordable public transportation options is a key to uplifting our community. VIAtrans provides an important service for customers who cannot access VIA's mainline services. We connect people to medical, social, and other essential services and appointments, to grocery stores and pharmacies, and to family and friends. Before COVID reduced transit ridership throughout the country, including in VIA, VIAtrans provided over 1 million trips each year. While providing thousands of safe, reliable trips every day, we ensure social distancing and sanitize our vans for your protection and safety. Thank you for joining us today for VIAtrans Accessible Services Workshop. We will be discussing some important updates and helpful reminders for clients and caregivers about VIAtrans services. We'll be sharing details about new programs and options designed to improve service and therefore improve the experience for you, our customers, while using VIAtrans. I'm especially excited about the soon-to-be completed VIAtrans Operations Center to be opened on Fredericksburg Road, which provides greater efficiency for our VIAtrans patrons, but it also frees up space at our crowded facility near San Antonio College. You will learn that VIA has partnered with a new service provider to make choosing and using VIAtrans more convenient and easier. You'll learn about this and much more from our expert VIAtrans team's members. Thank you for riding VIA and have a good evening. Upon my return, I will watch this presentation because we appreciate your input and suggestions how we can better serve our riders. Thank you and have a good evening.
A big thank you to Trustee Como for that message, which really does an excellent job of setting the stage for tonight's discussion. So let's get started, and please remember to dial *3 to enter the queue to ask your questions live on the call. We're going to start this evening with Mr. Steve Young. Steve, we've seen substantial changes in the technology that our customers use to interact with VIA. I believe we started and introduced our first mobile app to our customers back in 2017, and now we've got a new app, the VIA Go Mobile Plus app. So Steve, can you start by giving us a rundown and an overview of this new app, what it is, how it can be used, and why the upgrade to our app?
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me here, Priscilla. Happy to talk about the app to our customers and why we went down this road. And we know, sometimes change can be a little jarring, and we understand that. But we're really excited to bring the best in technology to our customers. We had as you mentioned, a prior app that we rolled out in 2017, and unfortunately, we were notified last year that our app provider was facing bankruptcy or going out of business, and as such, we really had to get on the get moving and really figure out how we can move our customers to a new and hopefully better platform. And so we've embarked upon that this past year, and we're happy to say at the end of July, we're able to launch our new VIA Go Mobile Plus app with a partner company known as Masabi. Masabi is a big provider of transit ticketing apps across the country and the world. And we believe that we've partnered with a really fantastic company that's going to be able to help us and help our customers as we navigate mobility waters in the future, because there's things that are going to be coming up that we can't necessarily predict, such as the Uber and Lyft revolution. And we wanted a company that we could really partner with that could enhance mobility and transit partnerships. And so I'll jump in to the next slide, please. And I'll talk just quickly about the app since I'm not really showing it tonight. We've chosen a very user-friendly design, a very colorful design that highlights VIA. And once you get into the actual app, it's very it's easy to navigate. It's very simple. We do have a lot of options in here for our customers because we have a lot of custom things at VIA for our customers, and we wanted to make sure they were easily accessible in the app, including VIAtrans online services. So that is available right in the app. So that was really important to us to really make sure this was going to be a relatively easy app for our customers to use. One thing I do need to note that if you were a customer on our prior Go Mobile app, the new Go Mobile Plus app does require a brand new account. And tickets did not move across to that newer app. But we can see from the numbers that a vast majority, if not all of our customers have already made that jump and transition. We're seeing very good sales numbers in the new app. But if for some reason, something didn't work out for you as a customer, please do call our customer service line and we can help, find any old tickets and get them brought over to your new app. So we can still do that for you. And we definitely encourage you, if there was a problem, don't fret. We can walk you right through the process. We have a great customer service team that's been trained on how to do that. One of the things we also did when we launched this at the end of July, this new app, we also launched ticketing for our VIA bus service. And and VIAtrans as well in the Transit app. And Transit app, if you haven't used it, is the U.S. leader in transit apps. It's the largest app used across the country for trip planning, next bus notifications. And if someone's using that app now in San Antonio, they'll have an option right within that app to buy via tickets. And we think that's a really fantastic option. We know there's a lot of VIAtrans riders that don't always only ride VIAtrans. They may use our bus route service as well. And those, that app is really handy for bus service. Even if you're not buying a ticket as a VIAtrans user, the app is still really helpful to figure out how to get from point A to point B, to let you know when the next bus is coming. You can even see it moving on a map. And so we're really happy to be partnered with Transit app as well. But jumping back to Go Mobile, so from the Go Mobile app, you can load money into a wallet in the Go Mobile app. Now, this is a new feature we didn't have in the old app, and it doesn't sound real exciting out of the gate, but it's going to allow some neat features in the future that I'll talk about in just a minute. In the app itself, there's a lot of options for purchasing, and we just rolled out a new option for buying tickets. So obviously credit card purchasing is, not a new feature, but it's in this app as well. You can use Apple Pay, Visa, MasterCard, but we also rolled out cash payment in this app, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. So there's a lot of neat, exciting features as far as purchasing in the app, but we've really focused on security with this new app. A lot of our customers are a little concerned when they hear about cyber threats and information breaches, and we really focused a lot on partnering with a strong firm for cybersecurity. And so there's a few features in here that help reduce fraud. When customers check out, they're also asked to enter in their 3 digits from their credit card every time they check out. We know that's a small bit of an inconvenience, but it also helps ensure that transactions are safe for our customers. I did mention the wallet where you can load money into it in the app, either through cash, and I'll talk, like I said, a little bit more about that in a minute. But one thing that we're going to be able to introduce in the upcoming year or so is something called fare capping, or best value for our customers. And so when our customers ride our Via bus service, a lot of our customers don't necessarily buy day passes or week or monthly passes, but some of them end up spending more than the cost of those passes. And so once we introduce new validation technology in our vehicles, we're actually going to be able, with our new app, to allow customers to tap and get best value for their rides. Essentially, they'll earn the equivalent of a day pass or a week pass or a month pass with their spend, but they don't actually have to worry about buying those up front. They can just tap each time they ride, and then they'll always get charged the least amount possible for their trip. And we think that's a really exciting way to, let our customers just worry about riding the bus, not about fare payment, as well as getting the best value for their ride. So we're really excited about that. Next slide, please. So like I mentioned, VIAtrans online service is available in the app. In the app, at the top right corner of the app, there's 3 dark black bars or gray bars, and those bars that's called the utilities menu. And in that, there's a bunch of extra things in the app, like switching languages. The app is available in both English and Spanish, so we have that available. But also in the utilities menu, one can access VIAtrans online services. So that's easily accessible there, along with other features like our newly released Via Alerts detour notification system. I mentioned the online or the expanded payments options in this app. Last week, we expanded to allow something that we've been really seeking for about 3 years now, which is cash payment. And, for a lot of customers that use credit cards, cash payments may not be something they're familiar with from an app perspective. But there's lots of customers in San Antonio, lots of people that maybe they don't trust online transactions, maybe they don't have credit cards, maybe they don't use a bank, or they conduct their business primarily in cash. And now we have a feature for all of those customers within the app. And those customers now can go to the account balance in the app, and they can choose add funds and then pay with cash. And once a customer does this, they'll be able to travel to Dollar General, 7-Eleven, Speedway, CVS Pharmacy, Walgreens, and Family Dollar. All of those stores you can walk into with the app. The app will have a barcode displayed, and you'll just present that to the cashier. They'll scan it, and then you can tell them how much you want to pay. They don't even have to know what you're doing, just that you want to put money into the new Via Go Mobile Plus app. And then that money will be right within that account balance within seconds. So it's an instantaneous transaction and really just a great convenience for our customers. And that puts, essentially a customer service window at hundreds of locations across San Antonio for our customers. So we're really, really excited to bring that to everyone because, it's Go Mobile Plus is used for bus fare, it's used for VIAtrans fare, and it's really making purchasing much more accessible to a lot of our customers, especially those that aren't credit card users. And we understand there's lots of people that don't want to use credit card or can't. So it's a really big option that we're really proud to bring to San Antonio. Next slide, please. So one of the things when we were getting this app designed, we really were requiring that the vendor bring accessibility features into our app and make sure they were compliant with screen readers. And we did select a partner that had done this with both Transit and the Go Mobile Plus app. But during some of our recent testing and feedback from some of our customers, and feedback that Masabi has gotten from other clients, we definitely found that there's some accessibility improvements that could be made. So we were really happy. Masabi hired a partner to do an accessibility audit of the app, and across all their customers, they found there were some needs to improve the screen readers. There's certainly or compatibility with screen readers. There's a couple of instances where screen readers may read a wrong layer of text. That is getting fixed. So we're really excited to bring that to the app shortly. Probably in the next month or two, we should be releasing a new version of the app that has those improvements. And the last thing they're going to be fixing in there is some of the contrast in the app. So with that is the basic overview or Via Go Mobile Plus app. And like I said, we're really excited to bring this. And this is just setting the stage for a lot more things to come with technology for our ridership at VIA. But we're really happy that we're able to bring this to our customers. And we really hope that it makes riding VIA quicker and easier.
Great, Steve. Thank you so much for that overview. Can you talk a little bit more about the technology that we've deployed and how that will be of benefit and use to our VIAtrans customers?
Yeah, we've focused a lot on many different areas of technology for our customers, Priscilla. And, the app is one level of technology, but there's a lot of different things we've deployed out there for our customers. Even some of the oldest technology we had available at VIA, such as SMS Next Bus messaging, where you can, as a rider, go to any one of our bus stops, and on the bus stop flag, there's a stop number, and you can text that stop number and find out when a bus is coming. We actually revamped that in the last year. It's much faster. It's much quicker. It now alerts riders to detours on their routes. It will even tell a rider if a stop is closed. So we're really, focusing on, some of them are very incremental improvements, but they're all about providing you a better experience and making your life better. Much as when we introduced VIAtrans online services several years ago, that really was a revolution for a lot of our VIAtrans riders, that they were able to book trips, manage trips, and track their rides online. So we're going to keep focusing on those kind of improvements, much like the fare capping with the app, Priscilla, that I mentioned earlier. That's going to be another incremental improvement that really should allow our customers to have an improved experience.
Great. Thank you, Steve. I'm excited to hear about the progress that VIA is making with this new technology and how it'll improve the customer experience for our VIAtrans riders. So now let's take a live call. Remember that we want to hear from you. Dial *3 on your telephone keypad to enter the queue to ask the question. So the next time you hear your name on the call, you will be live. And for those who are participating on live stream, you can type your question into the box below the streaming player. So we do have a call from Leonor Garcia. Please ask your question.
Yes. You know how a lot of us are on Social Security, and we wanted to know if every time when something's new gonna happen in VIA, even on the buses, is our VIAtrans is going to be raised up, because we only get a Social Security check monthly, and that's the only money we have for the whole month.
Steve, I don't know if you want to take that call, but what I can say, these are new technologies that we're offering to really improve the customer experience. But that when we bring on these new technologies, that does not mean that we're going to be raising our fares. The technologies that Mr. Young has referred to has not prompted any kind of an increase in fare. Our goal is to look at opportunities or how we can make the service better for our customers. And Steve, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, or possibly Sylvia.
The only thing I would add, Priscilla, is that, all these technologies we're bringing to the customer, we don't charge our customers for using any of these technologies. This is something that we will fund internally for the benefit of our customers. So we certainly would not be charging customers for their use or raising fares because of it.
Exactly. Sylvia, did you have anything to add to that?
No, we're not planning on raising fares as far as I know.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Our goal is to improve the service, but in doing so, we don't do it with the intent of having to raise fares. So, Ms. Garcia, you can rest assured that all of these great things we're talking about are not coming to you with the intent of raising your fares. We have another live caller with us. Mr. Estrada's on the phone. Mr. Estrada, thank you for joining us. Please share your question with us.
Yes, my question is concerning the website where we book and track where the vehicle is. Are you working on an app where we can track it without having to log in to the website itself?
So Mr. Estrada is asking about how he can track his vehicle without having to log on to the website. Sylvia or Steve, do you want to talk about that? I mean, maybe that falls in line with our VIAtrans online services.
Yeah, I can certainly try to address that as best I can, Priscilla. Thank you for your question, Mr. Estrada. So as far as tracking vehicles, depending on the type of vehicle, if it's a bus, buses can be tracked in the transit app. And that is one way to track a vehicle. There's other ways. There's other apps that track our buses or other websites like Google Maps. They're available to track there. Specifically for VIAtrans, the only way to track a VIAtrans vehicle online is through VIAtrans online services website. And unfortunately, you do need to be logged in to track that vehicle. And that's really for a privacy sake, to make sure our customers' trips are being kept private to them. So that is the only way a VIAtrans online service trip can be, or a VIAtrans trip can be tracked online.
You can also
All right.
you can also
ahead.
use your smartphone or an iPad or a notepad to get into the VIAtrans online services. It doesn't have to be on a computer, just something that has internet access, and you can view it on a cell phone.
All right. Thank you, Sylvia and Steve, for your responses. We do have another live caller who's got a question for us. Miss Gloria Lavender, are you on the line? Please share your question with us.
Oh, hello. I don't know if y'all can help me. I've tried for 21 years to get help with this problem. I live in an area where they do not recognize VIA in their area at all. I live off Pat Booker. I live in Kitty Hawk in an apartment building, and they will not accept your service in their area, so therefore I cannot be included. You see what I mean? I am a member of the shuttle, the VIA shuttle and all, and the transit, where I ride the bus myself. And I enjoy that much because y'all are very, very nice people. Your drivers are also helpful, so kind. And the trouble is I'm getting older and more disabled, and I can't hardly make the the trip up the street to catch your bus, I have to catch it on the right side of Converse, or otherwise I cannot get your bus even. The shuttle, and it makes it difficult for me because I'm older and I don't have a car, and I never will have a car because I can't see. And I don't know. I've asked y'all many times, but it's not anything that y'all can do because it's the people that live over here with the council meeting, the Universal City people that are doing this. And it makes it hard for me, and I can't move away. I wish I could,
All right. Thank you,
But
Ms.
I don't
Lavender.
think-
Go ahead. All right, Ms. Lavender, thank you so much for your comments. We appreciate the compliments you've given to our drivers. They do such a terrific job out on the road, and so we appreciate those comments that you've made. Before we go into our discussion on tax subsidies with our Z-Trip program and other VIAtrans initiatives, we'd like to ask our first poll question of the evening. These are important questions that help us better understand the needs of our customer. So our first poll question is this: how often do you use the VIAtrans online services on a weekly basis? Press 1 if you use the service 1 to 5 times a week. Press 2 if you use the service 6 to 10 times a week. Press 3 if you use it 11 to 15 times a week. And press 4 if you use the service more than 16 times a week. And then press 5 if you've never used the VIAtrans online service. So once again, press 1 if it's 1 to 5 times a week. Press 2 if you use it 6 to 10 times a week. Press 3 if you use it 11 to 15 times a week. Press 4 if you use it more than 16 times a week. And press 5 if you don't ever use the VIAtrans online services. We appreciate you taking time to vote on this poll question, and we'll present the results a little bit later in the evening. So as we tally these responses, we would like to ask Ms. Sylvia Castillo, our Manager of Paratransit Operations, to tell us a little bit about the VIAtrans online services. Sylvia, how best can our customers take advantage of the service? I think we heard a little bit about it in our previous caller and the question that he put forth, but how can our customers use this service?
Well, they can use it to make online reservations, check when the vehicle is about to arrive. They can also use it to cancel trips 24/7. And it is accessible on a computer or a laptop or a cell phone, as well as like an iPad or a notebook. So yeah, it's very convenient, and we encourage people to use it because we would like them to be able to get information and access reservations as quickly as possible.
Great. Thank you for that information, Sylvia. And we encourage our VIAtrans riders who are on this teletown hall to take advantage of that. Now, let's go ahead, Sylvia, and move our conversation into the discussion about updates on what's going on with our VIAtrans service, as well as a taxi cab subsidy service with Z-Trip.
Okay. Thank you, Priscilla. I appreciate that. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And welcome to our VIAtrans workshop. So I'll be talking a little bit about the new vans, our service partners, type of taxi service, and then the type of vehicles that are used, and then some of the other changes that we're experiencing. Next slide, please. So we have 139 new VIAtrans vehicles that we've replaced this year. You won't see the green vans anymore. The new vehicles are 2021 paratransit vehicles. I know some of you have ridden the vehicle, so you have experienced the smoother ride and it's more comfortable. Next slide. So some of the features that we've included in the new vehicles are clear dividers and curtains for passenger and operator safety. This is also because of COVID, so we want to make sure everybody's safe on board. And there are more spacious areas for our wheelchairs and scooters, so we can accommodate any size scooter and wheelchair, just as long as you can get the wheelchair or scooter on the lift. We've also congregated all the seats in the front so that people, ambulatory people coming onto the vehicle, can get right to their seat without having walked to the back of the van. And in the back of the van, that's where we have the scooters, which is closer to the lift. Next slide, please. So we have enough seating to transport 9 passengers, 3 people in wheelchairs, and 6 people who are ambulatory. Next slide, please. Then we also put an outdoor switch so that the operator can open and close the front door as they're assisting people in the lift. That's to also keep the vehicle cooler in the hot summer months, so that cold air will stay within the vehicle. Next slide, please. And then, of course, we have a new lift, a wheelchair lift that operates smoother and is less jerky, so that people, if they're standing on the lift, can keep themselves steady. And also for people in the wheelchairs can also be accommodated as well. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to mention that MV Transportation is still one of our service partners. They have helped us tremendously during the COVID pandemic, and so we're glad that they are partners with us. Next slide, please. So now I will be discussing the Z-Trip taxi service that's provided for VIAtrans service. Next slide, please. So Yellow Cab used to provide the service for us until Z-Trip acquired them. So you're going to be seeing the new vehicles coming online within the next 6 months. They're supposed to have some new cameras in the vehicle where they can locate the vehicle on GPS easier and be able to follow where the vehicle is. And then they're going to have an upgraded reservation system and dispatching technology to improve their service. And Z-Trip also provides a ride-hailing app for taxi service, and that's going to be coming online too within the next 6 months. So it's kind of like Lyft and Uber in that sense. Next slide, please. So there's 3 types of services that we use Yellow Cab or Z-Trip for: ADA, regular ADA service, taxi subsidy, and will call service. So I'll be discussing each one of these in a little bit more detail. Next slide, please. So everybody knows what ADA taxi service is, because that's what you're getting right now from VIAtrans and MV service, transportation, excuse me. So Z-Trip uses accessible minivans to pick up our customers. Their drivers have gone through ADA training that is required by VIA. We normally give ADA trips to Z-Trip when we have too many riders and something happens beyond our control. So we will send ADA trips to Z-Trip, and then if there's something that happens that's beyond that, when we are not aware of it, then we send the trip to a Z-Trip. And they also have 7 regular runs that we have Z-Trip provide for us on a daily basis. And then VIA fully subsidizes all the fare for this ADA trip, and the customer only has to pay $2. Next slide, please. So I'm not going to be discussing non-ADA trips. This is not non-ADA service. So VIA is going over and above the ADA requirements with will call service. So will call are open-ended reservations when a customer doesn't know when they're going to get out of a doctor's appointment or when jury duty will be completed. Everybody knows when they have to be at a certain location. But there's times when customers don't know when their doctor will be completing their appointment. So they will let us know that they need a will call trip. They'll make their beginning reservation, the trip to the doctor, but then they'll tell us, I need a will call trip. And so we don't set up the trip with any time at all. We just wait for the customer to call VIA on the day of service, and then we go ahead and assign that trip to either VIA, MV, or Z-Trip. And then, of course, VIA pays the full fare except for $2. Next trip, please. Excuse me, next slide, please. So Taxi Subsidy was a program we started back in 2013. And it is non-ADA service because this is a same-day service that's provided to VIAtrans customers. The taxi will pick up the customer at their home or wherever they're at and take them to their destination directly. So riders can take up to 20 trips a month, and taxi drivers are contractors and not employees of Z-Trip, and I'll be discussing this in a little more detail later on. And then the trips are normally assigned to the closest taxi driver in the area that the person is at, because that makes the trip more efficient. Next slide, please. So taxi subsidy service, I do want to go into this a little bit because there's some customers who don't have a clear understanding of how it works. So basically what happens is that the customer, VIAtrans customer, will call Z-Trip directly at the 666-6666 number. Please do not call the 22 number, the 222-2222. It's all twos, because then you will get a regular taxi trip, and that is more costly because VIA does not subsidize those trips. So remember, just please call the 6 number. And then at the start of the trip, when the taxi arrives to pick up the customer will pay the taxi driver $2 or a ticket. And then VIA will pay the next $9 of the fare, or $11 for people in wheelchairs. And then at the end of the trip, the rider is responsible for any difference in the metered fare. For example, if at the end of the trip, the meter says $15, VIA will pay $9 of that fare, and the customer will pay the $2 plus the $4, so it's $6 for the fare. Next slide, please. So I want to talk about the comparison between a VIAtrans operator and a Z-Trip driver. So VIAtrans operators are employees of VIA or MV Transportation. Z-Trip drivers are private contractors. They're in business for themselves. Operators are trained on ADA requirements, and so are Z-Trip drivers. Operators have to follow a manifest to pick up customers, and so the taxi or Z-Trip, driver selects the trips that they want to provide. That's in their area. Like I said, they're trying to be very efficient. And then the operator receives the vehicles, radio equipment from VIA. VIA pays for that. The Z-Trip driver has to lease the vehicles and equipment from Z-Trip, and they also have to pay the fuel. VIA pays the fuel for our drivers, and Z-Trip drivers pay their own fuel and their vehicles. And then, of course, there's no uniform provided for the Z-Trip driver, but there is a uniform provided for our VIAtrans operators. So just want to make sure you understand that the Z-Trip driver is working for himself or herself. And so we just need to be recognizing that whenever, you take a trip with them, that they are their own private contractor and that they're not like a VIAtrans operator. Next slide, please. So some of the service goals that Yellow Cab or Z-Trip is I'm trying to remember not to say Yellow Cab. But some of the challenges that they're facing is recruiting people to be taxi drivers. There are currently 114 drivers in VIA's program. Now, think about this. There are almost close to 15,000 registered VIAtrans customers. So with only 114 drivers, that makes a ratio of 132 VIAtrans customers to one driver. So you can see some of the challenges they're having. Now, this is nationwide problem that everybody is having in getting workers. Even VIA is having problems getting drivers. It's not that we're not hiring, it's that there's not enough people to support the customer base that we have. So, and I'm sure you've heard about needing truck drivers. Well, taxis the same way, same with MV and VIA. And so we want to make sure that we have enough vehicles available in specific areas. And sometimes there aren't enough people that have that. They have enough drivers for that. So then, what they're trying to do now is recruit more drivers who are receive safety training. Now, if you know anybody that is looking for a job, please send them our way, and we'd be glad to hire them. They're also going to improve better communication so they can let customers know when there aren't enough drivers on the road, so that the customer can make a decision as to what they want to do. Do they want to wait, or they want to look for alternative transportation? And of course, they're going to bring in the new upgraded vehicles soon. And then VIA will be following up with our customers regarding Z-Trip services so that we can resolve and identify areas for improvement. And before I end my presentation, next slide, please. I just want to say that I hope you will join me in thanking all VIA and MV operators, as well as Z-Trip drivers, for their hard work in providing transportation services. They're doing a tremendous job, and I know you will join me in showing them your appreciation for their hard work. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia, for that presentation. You provided a lot of detailed information for us to digest, and we appreciate that. For those of you on the call who would like to ask a question, we'd like to have you remember that you can do so by dialing *3 on your telephone keypad to enter the queue and to speak with a member of our staff. The next time you hear your name, you will be live on the call to ask your question. And before we move to the next poll question, we'd like to give you the results of the question we just asked. And the question was, how often do you use VIAtrans online service on a weekly basis? And the results are in. So we have 38% of our listeners who are using the service 1 to 5 times a week. We have 13% of our listeners who are using the service 6 to 10 times a week. 3% of our listeners are using the service 11 to 15 times a week, and 6% of our listeners are using the service 16 times a week or more. And we appreciate you taking advantage of this great service. And the percentage of callers who are not using the service is 40%. So we'd really like to encourage you to take advantage of the service. It's got a wealth of opportunities there for you as a customer of VIAtrans. We've got another live call that we'd like to take, but before we do that, I'd like to go ahead and present the next poll question. The poll question is, for what do you use VIAtrans online services for? So press 1 if you're making VIAtrans reservations online. Press 2 if you're checking when VIAtrans will pick you up for a pending trip. Press 3 if you're canceling an existing reservation. Press 4 if you're reviewing previous trips that you've taken, and press 5 if you do not use VIAtrans online service. Again, those options are press 1 for making a VIAtrans reservation online, press 2 for checking when VIAtrans will pick you up for a pending trip, press 3 if you're canceling an existing reservation, press 4 for reviewing previous trips taken, press 5 if you do not use the VIAtrans online services. So we look forward to you giving us your answers to that poll question. We do have another live caller on the line, and we'd like to take her call. Miss Martha Johnson, thank you for joining us. What is your question?
Actually, I have two. I'll make it short. Are you removing the cash in hand? That's
so
one.
her question is, are we... Go ahead.
The second question is, what is the cost of the app?
Well, I can answer the first question, and Steve Young can back me up on this, and that there is no cost to the app. The app is free, but Steve, would you like to share with our listeners where they can find the app, how they can download the app?
Yeah, our app, the Via Go Mobile Plus app, is available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. So if you have an Android phone, you'll use the Google Play Store and just search for Via Go Mobile or Via Go Mobile Plus. And the same can happen if you have an Apple phone. You can search in the App Store on the Apple phone and download the app there for free.
Great. And the second question was whether or not we are taking cash as payment for the trips. And Sylvia, would you like to answer that question?
We're continuing to take cash and tickets. So yes, that will not go away.
So they can pay with cash, they can
Yes,
pay
that is
with
correct.
tickets, and then they can also have their fare downloaded on the app or a Go card, which is their ID card. So thank you for that. We have another caller with us, Mr. Rick Sowell. Thank you for joining us. Please let us know what is your question.
Oh, my question is, all this new technology, all this stuff, how is it accommodating us that are visually impaired, myself, my wife, and others, visually impaired and or blind, when we don't have an iPhone, laptop, computer, anything, we can't see to do it. We only use a flip phone, an iPhone, just a regular cell phone. How is all this new technology accommodating, and I use that word strongly, for the visually impaired and the blind? It's not
Steve,
accommodating, in my opinion.
thank you for that question. Steve, would you like to address that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Priscilla. Well, I think first and foremost, technology is not for everyone. I don't mean that in a good or bad way. Some people prefer to use it. Some folks will not choose to use it, and that's okay. We have different ways, as was mentioned earlier, to pay for fares, and we want customers to use whatever format suits them best, whether that's cash, Go Card, or one of the technology pieces like Go Mobile Plus. For riders with visual impairments, our app is accessible to screen readers. Is a screen reader as easy to use as an app, without a screen reader? That's, a tough question to answer. I think it is generally, it can be challenging sometimes to use apps with these technologies. So we do recognize that. And that's one of the reasons we're really focusing on working with our provider, Masabi, to ensure that our app is the best it can be for those riders that have impairments. So we're working very hard on that. We recognize it's not for everyone, but for those that do use it, we want to make sure it works really well for them.
Great. Thank you for that response, Steve. We do have a question from Facebook, and this question is for Sylvia. They are inquiring about how many vehicles will be used by Z-Trip to provide their service.
Well, there are 114 vehicles that are in the program that operate 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Great. Thank you, Sylvia. Again, we'd like to remind everyone who's on this call that it's an interactive forum. We want to hear from you. We've got Sylvia Castillo and Steve Young with us to answer your questions. So if you have a question, you can press star three on your phone keypad at any time, and we will place you in line to speak with a member of our staff. We'd like to answer as many questions as we can during this session, so we welcome your calls and your comments and your questions. So we do have another Facebook question from Tommy, who is asking, what does door-to-door service mean? Sylvia, would you like to talk about that?
Certainly. Door-to-door service is a service where the operator will go to your door, knock on the door, and then assist you to the vehicle if needed. And then when they drop you off, they'll take you to the door of the facility. They won't take you inside, but they'll take you to the door of a business. However, VIAtrans provides curb-to-curb service. So that's where we're a little different. We do have assist-to-door service, which is kind of like door-to-door service, and but mainly our service is curb-to-curb. So hope that explains it clearly enough for you.
So, Sylvia, if any of our callers have questions about whether or not they qualify for assisted service or door-to-door service, whom should they call? They would call directly into VIAtrans to get information on whether or not they would qualify for that service?
Well, Accessible Services is the one that handles the applications, so they could call VIA directly and ask for accessible services, and they will be able to help them.
All right. Thank you so much for that response. We do have the results from our second poll question where we are asking how our customers are using the VIAtrans online service. And we see that 27% of our respondents are making VIAtrans reservations on the service. 18% are checking to see when the VIAtrans van will be picking them up. 1% are reviewing their previous trip history, and 50% in this case are indicating that they're not using the service. And so once again, we'd really like to encourage you to take a look at the VIAtrans online service and make use out of it for your transportation needs. I'd also like to also take a moment to remind and encourage our VIAtrans riders who have not yet gotten their new Go Card ID card to please take advantage of that. If you'll call us on the Go line at 362-2020, we can point you in the right direction to come in, get your new VIAtrans ID card that can also serve as your fare card because it is a Go Card fare, a card that your ID will be placed on. So I'd like to put that message out there for our VIAtrans riders. We do have another live caller on the line, Ms. Alma Rhodes. She has a question. Ms. Rhodes, thank you for joining us. What is your question?
Yes. I recently started using the taxi service that you all provide, as long as it's within a 3-mile radius. Well, I'm having a lot of problems with them because what's happening is that you call and you let them know they take my ID number and all that. They'll send me the notification that the taxi has been sent. But once they see that I'm a VIA recipient, they cancel on me. And when I say cancel, I get canceled like 7 to 10 times, which means I'm waiting for a taxi for about an hour to 2 hours. And I don't know if y'all are aware of that, but I did call and I did talk to a taxi person there. He was a manager, and he told me that it's at the discretion of the driver whether or not he wants to take the ride or pick the person up. So I don't know. I don't know if y'all are aware of that, but it's happening.
Well, I'm sorry to hear
Giles.
that you're having such a terrible experience with Yellow Cab or Z-Trip. Have you called our customer service line, the 2020 line, to express
Yes,
your
I did.
concerns?
And
You did?
I sure
Okay.
did. And what they
Okay.
told me was that I had to make a complaint with the taxi people, not VIA, because they're separate. But I'm under VIA. I'm like, I don't understand why something cannot be done about this, because it's happening all the time.
Well, if you
Ms.
leave your
Rhodes?
name and telephone number, I'll be glad to research that and give you a call and get more information from you to help you resolve this issue.
Yes, absolutely. We apologize for that, and we will look into your concerns. We're getting close to the end of our meeting this evening, and we would like to ask one more poll question before we close. And so the question is, since service went to full capacity on June 1st, 2021, how has your VIAtrans services changed? Press 1 if you're traveling more now than you did before June 1st, 2021. Press 2 for traveling less than you did before June 1st, 2021. Press 3 for if you're traveling about the same as you did before June 1st, 2021. And press 4 if you stopped riding VIAtrans because of health and other concerns related to COVID. So again, the options for this response is press 1 for traveling more than you did before June 1st, 2021. Press 2 for traveling less than you did before June 1st, 2021. Press 3 for traveling about the same now as you did before June 1st, 2021. And press 4 if you stopped riding VIAtrans because of health and other concerns related to COVID. Please submit your answers and we'll give you the results in just a few minutes. We do have a live caller with us. If we could please have the caller, Ms. Denilson Alvarado, express the question that they have.
Yes, good evening to you all. Thank you for taking this call tonight. My question is to you guys. I just got a new chair, and it's the type of chair that I just received is a manual. It's a combination between a manual and a powered chair at the same time. Now, my concern is, would this type of chair be compatible to the hooks on VIAtrans vans, buses, or taxis, or any other type of vehicle?
Sylvia, can you answer that?
Yes, certainly. If you can leave your name and phone number with the operator, we will send a supervisor to meet you at your home and look at your wheelchair device to let you know if there's any issues with tying down your wheelchair.
Thank you for that response, Sylvia. Once again, we'd like to remind you that you can ask your questions by dialing *3, and we will take your call and we will put your question on live with us. So please, we encourage you to give us a call and let us know what kind of questions you may have. While we are waiting to get the results of this last poll question, I'd like to turn it back to Steve Young. Steve, might you like to talk a little bit about Chatbot? That's a new technology that we've offered to our customers that certainly people who are on this call with us this evening can take advantage of.
Sure. Thank you. It's a great question. This past October, we rolled out the VIA Virtual Assistant, which is essentially an online virtual customer service agent that resides on the VIA website. So if you go to viainfo.net, you'll see a little chat icon down at the bottom for the VIA Virtual Assistant. Same assistant is also available in the VIA Go Mobile Plus app. And essentially, we've taken all the common questions that are asked of our customer service team, and they're embedded right within that chatbot, which speaks both English and Spanish and is available 24/7, 365. So that chatbot's always available, even at times when our call centers are closed. So the main function is really just answering basic questions about our VIA services and fare payment and those types of things. But we're happy to have this as a very convenient, friendly, all hours customer save, backup to our customer service team. So we encourage you to try it out and use it. That also has next bus information available on it as well. So we're hopeful that it's something that'll be useful to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Steve, for that response. We have the poll results from the third question, and the question was, how has your traveling changed since June 1st, 2021, when we went to full capacity? So our poll results are telling us that 26% of you are traveling more now than you did before June 1st, 2021. 30% of you are traveling less than you did before June 1st, 2021. 31% of you are traveling just about the same now as you did before June 1st, 2021. And 13% of you have stopped riding VIAtrans because of health and COVID concerns. We thank you so much for your responses. We have now come to the close of this teletown hall. We want to thank you for joining us, and we thank you for taking your time to be part of this conversation. We appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak with you directly, to answer your questions, and to hear from you directly as well. If we were not able to get to your question this evening, you can leave us a voicemail after the event by simply staying on the call when we end, and you'll be transferred into our private voicemail system, and we ask that you leave your message there. You can also send us an email at cust.serv@viainfo.net, or you can call our office at 210-517-4647. 4715. We will host more of these events in the future to keep you informed on what we are working on and other important updates as necessary. Thank you again so much for joining us. Have a great evening. Good night.